Hello folks, and greetings from another apple tasting. This is the third one of the 2016 winter. Would you say winter? Autumn.
Late autumn.
Yeah, yeah. And we've got another 12 varieties of apples here. Some of them are looking very tasty, whether they actually are or not. It's a different matter, we'll see.
Yeah, these tastings, a lot of them have apples that are not generally available to the public, so I hope you still find those interesting. Here we've got a wild seedling and one or two foreign apples and things I've collected over the years. And I think there are 4 that are available to the public to buy as trees. That looks quite a nice bright one, doesn't it, that first one?
Yes, it does, Nigel.
Yeah, now this is the a wild apple that we found growing in Potter's Marston, which is a Leicestershire village, and we've been quite surprised by how good the flavour is.
Right.
Just a tree in a hedgerow. Right, there you go.
Thank you.
And it's very pretty. You can see it's entirely red.
Very crispy.
And it's got a good balance of flavour. It's got plenty of acidity, plenty of tannin, and it's quite sweet.
Well, I think that's very good. I'm going to give that 4.
Yeah, I think I'd give that a 4. The skin is a little bit tough, but
yeah.
but it's very nice to eat. And if you were given a bag of those, they wouldn't last long.
No.
It tastes a little bit like a Cox, and I suspect it might be from a Cox's orange pippin seed, the pip. Okay. Now this second one is a bit of an oddity, and I'm putting it in just for variety, really. This is an apple called Giant Radish by the person who raised it, a friend of mine called Reinhardt, and it has crimson blossom, and you can see it's red skinned, but inside it's a sort of greenish yellow. And this is an apple which is very, very high in tannin. It's very sweet, hardly any acid, but it's high in tannin, and it's brilliant for making cider. It's not that good for eating as a rule, but I thought it would be interesting to see what score it gets between the two of us.
Can we have another bit?
Yeah. It is rather bitter. You can taste the bitterness. That's the tannin, and that's why it's so good for cider. I mean, we like a little bit of this in a fruit salad. It makes it a bit different. You wouldn't want to eat a whole one, I don't think, but it is very different.
I could easily.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to give that. I don't know. It's difficult to rate that on our scale. I think
I'll give it a 3.
Yeah, I think probably a 3. It's
I mean, it's between a 3 and a 4. You know, I quite like it. I do.
Yeah, I do. I think if you're a person that likes bitterish flavours, or if you drink bitter beer, then you'd probably find that quite okay. I think I'm going to give that a 3. Next apple is from Cornwall. This is one that's a rather odd shape, as you can see. Red skin all over, and it's called Pendragon. And this is a red-fleshed apple.
We had this last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Let's get you a bit that's not got too much skin on it. You can see what you reckon.
Yeah.
So you can see the red flesh here. Ooh, it's a bit sour. Not as bitter as the last one. I couldn't eat all that. Could you eat the whole,
Can I try
whole
another
thing, do you
little
think?
bit just to make sure, you know?
But it's nice inside. It's an interesting fruit. If you gave this in a fruit salad or whatever to a visitor, they'd find it interesting.
Can't be that bad, folks. The teeth haven't popped out yet.
That's quite good, you know. Yeah, quite acidic, quite appley.
I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's between a 3 and a 4, but I just don't think it's...
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4, I think. I quite like that. It wasn't so good last year, but this year it's quite tasty.
Mm.
The next apple is again a pink-fleshed apple. This is from my friend Reinhardt, another of his varieties, and this is called Bine Road. And he found this growing wild in Germany. You can see the colour inside. It doesn't get any bigger than this, and it has beautiful crimson blossom, really outstanding blossom. And the fruit isn't bad.
I'm going to give that a 5.
Really?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Okay. I thought you were going to give it a 3.
No.
That is pleasant, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. It's fruity. What else can I say about it? There's nothing really negative about it. It's just a very pleasant little fruit. This is a more mainstream variety. This is Darcy Spice, and this comes from Essex. It's a well-known heritage variety. I don't like that too
No,
much.
I'm going to give that a 2.
Yeah, let's try another one. I've had problems with this ripening this year. The sawfly gets in, the apples appear to be ripe, you take them off the tree or they fall off. Just see if that's any better.
No, that's better.
Yeah, I think that's probably about a 3, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a good mix of apple flavour and tannin and acidity and sugar. But it's only average this year, thanks mainly to the sawfly.
And the brown rot.
Yeah, brown rot. Yeah, that's all through the tree.
Yeah.
It was quite a job finding those
It's
apples.
hit us all, hasn't it, this year?
Yes, it has. How many apples did you get out of a normal 100?
7.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 decent apples, and all the rest went bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is a Leicestershire apple called Marriage Maker. It's often pink-fleshed, but this year it's not really coloured up. Oh, I like that. That's very good. It's quite crunchy. It's sweet, slightly different flavour to the Darcy Spice. It's not so sharp, and it's got a more aromatic type flavours in it. What do you think? A 4, yeah, I think I'll give it a 4. A bit more?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I'll try and get you a bit. I've just noticed there's a grub been eating that bit.
All right.
There you go. But that's good. So, Marriage Maker, yeah, good apple. Yeah, that one is available from Keeper's Nursery and from Leicestershire Heritage Apples and various other suppliers. This is an apple called Tom Putt. It used to be used for cider, I think it still is, and it's from down south, either Devon or Cornwall. You can see it's very red, but it's stripy.
Visually, it would be a good selling apple, wouldn't it?
Oh yes, it would. And a lot of today's marketing is based on apple appearance, as you're probably aware.
Yeah, just like everything else.
Well, that's right. Oh, look, it's got slightly pink inside.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that before with this one.
Right.
Well, a bit watery, do you think?
Yeah. Initially, I thought, I've got a feeling this is going to be nice, but it was a bit of disappointment.
A bit of a letdown, isn't it?
Yeah.
It tastes. The initial flavour is nice.
I think I'm just going to give it a 3.
3, yeah, I would agree with that. It can score better than 3. It has been more than that in previous years. Right, but interesting that it's on pink inside. Quite a few apples do that in certain climatic conditions, particularly when it's warm in the afternoons and cold at night. Right, this one we've tried before, but I was a bit disappointed by the scores we gave it, so I've managed to find another one fresh off the tree. And this is the Breunsdorfer apple from the village of Breunsdorf in East Germany. And you can see it's got a nice internal colour, sort of purpley pink. It's quite soft, very little acidity.
I think we need another piece of this just to confirm.
And it's got a slightly floral overtone to it. You can sort of smell flowers when you're eating it. It's unusual.
In fact, so far that's my favourite for today. I'm going to give
good,
it a 5.
Yeah. I'm pleased you said that. I'm going to give it a 5 as well. It's one of my favourite apples, so it looks like the ones we had the other day were not quite right.
Right.
But that's fresh off the tree and it's very nice.
Yeah. Which one are we having?
Now this one is from Switzerland. This is another from Lubera Nurseries, Marcus Covelt and his Red Love releases. This is Red Love Serena. And these were picked off the tree this morning. Good grief, look at that. Picked off the tree this morning.
Wow.
Look at the colour. Now I think there might be there's grubs being active.
I'll have a grub free piece, please, Nigel.
There you go. Excuse me.
I'm just checking because Nigel's eyesight's not that good.
That's right. It's got quite a rich flavour, hasn't it, that? Let's try the other one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
It is sweeter, it is better, isn't it? Well, I think that's a 5 for me.
I'll give it a 4.
It's soft, lovely apple flavour, but it's not crunchy.
No.
So that's Red Love Serena.
Mm.
Right, so it's got a 9 between us.
Mm.
What Lubera have done, they've cleverly developed about 5 Red Love apples that are almost identical. They're not quite identical because they can't be, but they've made them very, very similar. And this means that if you want to produce Lubera apples, you can extend the season because they all ripen at slightly different times. So that's the idea behind it.
Mm.
So I think that's what Lubera nurseries are doing. Right, here we have an American apple. This is Burford's Red Flesh. Another dark one. Now, I'm interested in this one because that'll be bitter because it's quite bitter skin. You try that bit with less skin.
Right, okay.
I've read on the internet that this is a good flavoured apple, but I've never yet eaten one that I've actually liked. And it might be that the climate's different. It's quite crunchy. How would you describe the flavour?
It's got something that kicks in.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but it's not.
It's bitterness.
Not, is it?
Yeah, it's tannins. You know, like the bitter stuff.
It's like a numbing effect.
Yeah, it's like the bitter taste in tea.
Mm. No, I'm only going to give that a 2.
Yeah, it's not that nice, really.
No.
I think if you have an apple that's got too much tannin, it does make it rather difficult to enjoy it. So 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, if you cook this, the tannin becomes almost invisible, and it's a good cooking apple. And it keeps its colour quite well. Right, next one is West Virginia Sweet. This is the usual size of the apple because it's quite large. This one is from a tree in a pot. So, well, I don't really want to cut that in half unless this one doesn't taste very nice, because they keep well. Let's see what you reckon of that one. Doesn't taste right, that, does it? A bit dry.
It's got a very tough skin.
Yeah. Let's try that one. It might be because it's in a pot, it's not ripened very well. Is that better? Well, it's not particularly sweet this year, is it, that one? Quite an unusual flavour. It's got the Parma Violets flavour, which was present in the Malini Lily that we tasted, I think it was the last video. What would you
I
give
quite
that?
like it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a 4.
It's got a fairly addictive aftertaste.
Yeah, I could eat one of those easily.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I'll put a 4 in as well. So that's 8. It's really unusual, that flavour, and it's very, very nice to eat that when you've had a box full of Ribstons or Coxes or something more mainstream, but it's a really unusual flavour. And finally, we've got an apple that we found growing wild in Leicestershire, in Seagrave. You can see it looks rather like, what shall we say, Laxton's Fortune or Langton Nonsuch. It's a stripy red apple, but it's got a flat portion on the top. So I think it may be a seedling of Charles Ross, which is a well-known apple. But this is very, very high in sugar. Not particularly juicy, but it's loads and loads of sugar. I've recently bought what's called a bricks meter for measuring sugar, and this is the highest one that was highest on the scale out of the apples I've got.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have no trouble in finishing this one. Ah, and someone else thinks the same. Look, there's a tiny little snail.
Oh. Right, well I'm going to give that a 5 because I think that's lovely.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, it's sort of midway between 4. For me, it's not quite a 5,
Right.
but very nice nevertheless. Well, that wasn't a bad lot, was it?
It wasn't
today?
at all, and when you look at the red flesh ones, they're scoring quite high today.
They were. That Broinsdorfer was lovely. Where's my piece of plywood? There we go. Let's put the scores up so people can see. Right, can you check to see that's visible, Julie?
Yes, it is.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so some very interesting apples there. Anything you want to add? I think
You're quite right about them being getting better as time goes on in the season. The first lot were a bit of a disaster, really, wasn't it?
They weren't really very good.
No.
What we shall find as we go through the season, the later apples, which we'll come to soon, which are basically the storing apples, these seem to have much stronger flavours than the mid-season and the early apples. They're higher in sugar, and some of them have peculiar flavours and some don't. So we may find that our opinions get a bit more extreme as we get towards the late storers.
Right. Just one quick question, Nigel. When we're talking about earlies, mids and lates, do they all blossom at different times? Or are some of them blossoming at the same time but take longer to mature?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, there's no clear link between blossom time and fruiting time. You find some of the latest ripening apples sometimes have very early blossom. So you can't say that because something blossoms early, it will fruit early. It's entirely determined by the genetics of the variety.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Something that is worth mentioning though, if you pick apples before, say, the third week in October, they probably are not going to store very well. And I don't actually start storing any apples until I start taking them off the tree in early November. I find that anything picked earlier than early November usually won't keep very well.
When you say it won't keep, they'll generally go soft and...
Yeah, they'll go soft quite quickly and they'll lose their flavour and you just won't want to eat them.
I'll have to check my apples then in the...
Yeah, but if you pick
I'm
it...
going to dry them, so they've not got to be... If you're drying, folks, they've got to be firm. If you try and... if you try one of these machines, what I use, which I will give a little demo again this year, it won't work on a soft apple.
Well, that's right. It's best to do your drying when the apple is ripe or just after they're ripe, but don't save them until they're mealy because the drying doesn't. It won't give you a product that you really like.
Right. Okay.
If you pick out an apple though in November or later, there's a good chance it will keep right through until March, April, May, if you've got the right variety. And they're apples which do that are called phase 3 apples, and they're generally very low in juice and very high in sugar.
Okay, Nigel.
Right.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. We might be back later. If not, we'll see you in the next video.